Hey, Hal here. Just wanted to tell you we're excited about our partnership with Minus 33. Minus 33 specializes in merino wool base layers for outdoor enthusiasts, from tops and bottoms to hats, socks, gloves. And our gear is going to keep you warm and comfortable no matter what adventure you're on, especially those big woods ones. We're a fifth-generation family owned and operated, a New Hampshire woolen textile manufacturer. They have over 106 years of woolen expertise, and they started manufacturing woolen socks, the Mountain Heritage ones, in New Hampshire in 2018, with the idea that a quality product, affordable pricing, and can be worn and loved from season to season, no matter what your experience level or skill is, so no one should feel uncomfortable or ill-prepared in the outdoor community. Having a reliable gear is one of the first steps towards a lifetime of passion or whatever activity it is. And my caveat to that is you got to wear your woolies. Cotton is death. To find more about Minus 33 products, there's too many to list, so just click on the link in the description and go to their store and get whatever you need.
This is the Big Woods Bucks podcast. Come explore the big woods and timber in North America with your host, Maine master guide and deer tracking expert Hal Blood. Listen to Hal and co-host Joe Cruzy as they unlock the secrets to big woods whitetails. Each episode will provide valuable insights into the tried and true system Hal has used for the last 40 years to scout, locate, and hunt mature big woods bucks. Listen and laugh as the crew discusses Hal's legendary adventures and learn how to apply a lifetime's worth of lessons from the big woods to your own hunting and outdoor adventures.
Welcome to the Big Woods Bucks podcast. I'm your host, Hal Blood. Sitting down here in our studio with my cohort, Joe Cruzy.
Hello.
And as you notice, it's just the two of us today.
Just the two of us.
Yeah.
No one wanted to come talk today.
No. Leash. Old guide Mike's laid up with his back. Took some bird hunters yesterday. He was trying to he wanted to borrow a tree stand I had out remote camp. And I said, yeah, grab one, go ahead. And he was somehow loading it in the truck. It's 12 feet long or something. And he's throwing it in the truck, and he wrenched his back. And
doesn't he have some young kid that can go out there and help him at his
He's got the school kids usually.
He can't be lugging around tree stands. So
I gave him the number of my chiropractor. I said, you better get down there. I said, he was hurting when I saw him this morning. So
I thought he was guiding today, I thought he was supposed to be guiding today too. So
no. Well, he might have been going to take them guys 2 days, but he ain't going nowhere today.
Yeah.
And then Lee Shands is in the woods with Steve, and they were supposed to have 2 cow hunters this week, and one had a medical issue or something, canceled out. So
yeah, he was hopeful they must have got it done last night. No, did you talk to him today at all?
No. Talked to him last night.
Okay.
They'd struggled a little bit.
I bet Steven found one.
Yeah. Everybody thinks cow hunting's easy, but I think it's harder to cow hunt than it is the bull hunt, really, usually.
It would have been like we saw last week. The cows were ridiculous. We saw a pile of cows. We saw bulls too, but nothing with any size. I mean,
yeah.
So
it's always the way you're hunting for a bull and all you see is cows, and you go a cow hunt and all you see is big bulls.
Well, wasn't the report I heard back from Lee and Steven went on one road and saw 3 beautiful bulls a couple of days ago, and they
bachelored up.
They couldn't find a big one during the season either.
Right. That's what it goes. Same area too, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it, the way it goes. And
so how was first season?
Yeah. Oh, my first season?
Mm-hmm.
Good. We did that thing with Operation Reboot. Had the raffle on the lodge tag, and actually a veteran won it. He bought 2 tickets. He said his name was Ian Buell. Nice fella, Marine. So he's a good guy, And he brought his cousin with him, and we had a nice time, but he shot his moose at 10 o'clock the first morning, so it was a short
Oh,
hunt.
I didn't realize it was that soon.
Yeah. Funny thing was, and this season was started a little early, just kind of the rut's barely getting going, and we never heard a peep all morning. Not a cow, not a bull. Called our way up for, I think it was 2 miles, he said the guys all put their trackers on and figured out how far we went. But he said it was 2 miles, and we just call and wait and call. And that was probably 3.5 hours hunt to that point. And then we sat down. I'd called again we were hunting a buffer strip behind some old kind of clear cuts, not completely clear, and we sat on a log and had a drink of water, and I'd called first, and we sat down there and just whispering, and he's all of a sudden a cow called, like I knew it was like 100 yards. It was right there, but it was that whine. It wasn't like a bellow, like she's looking for a bull. It was a whine like she's with a bull.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, ooh. And then I heard a grunt, but the grunt was like a small bull grunt. I told him, I said, I bet you there's a big bull there somewhere. It's got to be, So we were in the buffer strip, so I got him moved out into the cut where you could see maybe down through the skid roads, like 100 yards maybe in spots, And there was a big patch of spruce and stuff, thick stuff, because the leaves are all out that time of year too. And I just tickled the brush with my blade, and I see the brush moving, and the cow's coming right to that racking a little bit. And I made a small bull grunt too, and little crotch-horn bulls right behind her, like right on her, And they came out.
Teenager in love.
Yeah. He thought he was going to get him some, and then they come right out in the grass skid road in the cut there, about 40 yards, and he was pestering her. And the funny thing was, I think Scott got that on film. The cow reared up and was kicking at him with his front foot. I never seen a moose do that. I mean, on other videos, I think. But, yeah. And then she wandered down.
Was she whining that whole time?
No, she never made a sound, but he was grunting a little bit, a little bull. And then she went back up the way, she kind of went down. I didn't realize it at the time, but there was another grassy skid road in it, and she disappeared behind that screen of brush there in front of us. And meanwhile, I was dubbing a little bit, and then I heard the big grunt. I heard a good grunt, and I go, I knew there was another one in there. So I just racked the brush, and I just did a low grunt, because I didn't know how big he is. I just wanted to try to get a look at him without intimidating him or something. And then the cow come back. We're looking down, and there's another skid road, not very wide, just a grass lane, and it had some small maple saplings in it. And she walked out across that one, and that little bull was back on her tail again. He's right behind her, and went over there about 20 yards and stopped. And I said, get ready, because I said, he's going to go across that now. And waited about a minute, and then I could see movement in behind. We had this big, fluffy, scrubby yellow birch with all the yellow leaves. You couldn't see through it, and that was right where we needed to see. But I can see movement behind it. And he kept moving out slowly, and finally I could see his right palm, and I could see it was big, wide with a lot of points. I go, that looks pretty good right there. But I said, let me make sure I can see the other side. And he just kind of dubbed there, and he'd move around, and then he turned his head, and I could see the other side looked the same. I had no idea the spread, but it didn't matter. It had big palms, So I said, that's a good bull. I said, you better shoot that when he gets out here. And when he committed to go across that skid road, he never even stopped. And kid threw his gun up and pow, dropped it right in his tracks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we knew going into the season it was going to be a little bit different with the early and the late because there was 2 weeks in between, and
the early was early and the late was late.
Yeah, I think the end of the first week was prime. We were done on Wednesday. We had first thing Monday morning, called one in. It was like probably a 40-inch bull. Passed on that, but it was fun because he's a guy that had never been moose hunting. So having that experience,
Sure.
At 10 yards, and he was pretty excited about that. And then he actually only had 3 days to hunt, so we had to finish up by Wednesday at 4. I had to get him take off by Wednesday at 4 to get him out of the woods. And
gotta love it.
He called one out at 2:30, and it was smaller than the one he passed up Monday. And so, it came just on a string, just like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So you have all that excitement, although you don't hear there's no antlers on the brush coming down, but you're just hoping they're on a skid trail, and that's why you don't hear anything. He stepped out, and it was probably I think it was like a 36, 38-inch bull, something like that. And he stepped out, and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, smaller than the one you passed the other day, but we're done after this. So if you want some meat," pow!
Yeah.
He dropped it right there. So I'm like, we're way up in zone 4, so it was a haul to get him back down to the airport. So I'm doing the math in my mind when we got to be done by, and so I'm hurrying up. Braden was there with us, and Braden gutted it, and I went and got the truck and back down. Had to go down a skid trail and back up in there and get them loaded up, and we got it all done, and we're pulling out, and it was 3:30, and I made some comment like, pulled in at 2:30 and killed them, and we got them loaded up and heading out. We're going to be on time. And about time I said that, the truck just went and I mean buried down to the differentials anyway, down to the axles, and
that's because you drive them big diesel trucks. They're heavy.
It was goopy, man. I what happened was when I came in, I pulled in and then backed up, and I missed. There was a little wet hole there that I didn't know was there. And when I left, I cut the corner to go out, and that's when we hit it. So, we're scrambling. Like, he's got to be down there at a certain time, and I'm like, didn't think it was going to happen. Moose in the back of the truck, so it's got to be tagged, taken to the butcher, and all that. So I tried the obvious stuff first. I had my high lift and jacked it up and put stuff under the tires, logs and rocks and everything, but that wasn't getting the job done. So I'd always seen about using the tires like a winch and wrapping the rope around it. And that rope that we've got from Yale Cordage is ridiculously good. It's like super high strength, no stretch.
Yep.
And I had a few spools of that, so there was a tree about 60 yards away. The closest good tree was 60 yards away, so I ran 2 lengths of that rope to that, and I went around each of the front tires, and we got it wrapped around there a couple times while it was jacked up, so it had a good start, and then we let it back down. Came out of there so slick. Had I done that to begin with, it would have just winched it right out.
Yeah.
No problem. So that's a good little trick. It's been around for years, but I've never used it, and I've never seen anyone else use it. But it does work well.
MacGyvering.
We made it on time.
Yep.
And but the roads after that was early in the season, so they weren't as bad. This last hunt,
oh geez,
roads are getting pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, the bird hunt is too. Once you get through the first hunt, the bird hunters are endless. Back and forth every side road and in and out. And we had that rain, so they got to go through the puddles fast, and it throws all the dirt. So every time someone goes through, them puddles get deeper and deeper. So it pushes all the that soft.
I can't imagine wanting to go through them. I mean, it's a game of dodging them.
I think people think they're going to get stuck in them or something. I don't know. So they Well, some of them you can't help because they're the width of the road.
Right.
Yeah. But
And that wasn't the only. So Monday, Eric has become known as Monday Eric because he's usually always the first one on Monday. He's got his bull. So Monday evening, he sends an in-reach message that he had one down and he needed some help. So we were just finishing up our hunt, so we jumped in the truck and headed towards him. By the time we got there, he'd driven his truck in to get the moose, and just no big deal stick popped up through and went through his transmission pan. And I mean, you want to talk about junk. Is a transmission pans on the Dodge.
Plastic.
It's a power wagon.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be a good off-road vehicle, right? But it's a newer one. So the newer they are, the junkier they are, I think.
Well, they're trying to lighten everything up.
Trying to cheapen everything.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do
Plastic's
with
cheaper than aluminum, I guess, or steel.
Yeah, so he put a hole in his pan, which obviously drained all of his oil out. So he's dead in the water right there. In way of going in and getting the moose out, So we had to bring the old Ford to the rescue there and get around it and go around through some alders and stuff. And anyway, we got the moose out and then had to tow his truck out and send someone back to civilization. And I think it was like over $700 for a pan and a couple quarts of oil.
Oof.
Probably a kid with a CNC machine or not a CNC, but the 3D printer could probably print out that pan.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was some of the fun of the first week.
Another wood's fix,
Yeah, you got to figure it out up there.
Yeah. I remember me and Tommy one time, we changed the fuel pump in one of my Dodges up in the woods. I got a fuel pump when we went out. We dropped the gas tank, put the fuel pump, and we broke. It was rusty, so when we pulled it down, it broke I think it was a return line, luckily, and robbed a piece of rubber hose off the engine.
Oh, why? Because it's low pressure?
Yeah. And put that rubber hose on with 2 clamps, put it up in there, and broke one of the tank straps broke. When you unfold them to put it down.
A ratchet strap fixes that perfect.
Yeah, put a ratchet strap on it, right back up. Out we went with it.
Yeah, you get pretty creative.
Yeah.
When you're in the woods and have to get out. And inevitably, the second week, so I usually have my Ford up there that I hunt out of and got it set up for loading moose in the back, and I got all my tools and packs and all that stuff. And my Dodge I just bring up and have it there as a backup, and that's how I get up there. So I guess it was second to the last day. We came in for the night, and my fuel light came on just as we were getting to camp, and I was like, I got to put some fuel in tonight. It started running rough. So I figured it must have just picked some junk up, just clean the filter or whatever, just put fuel in it, and we couldn't get it running. Brady and I worked on it the next day. And I ended up having to go back up with my gooseneck after the hunt to get it out of the woods, because I called Kelvin, and he's like, geez, I got 5 tows ahead of you, and I'm going to Colorado, and he didn't have the time, and so I thought, well, I'll figure out something. Well, I heard they had something like 20 something tows up there, different trucks that were broke down all over the place, that tow truck operators are having to go up and get them out of there. And that's I heard something, someone said someone wanted $1,000 for a tow, and I'm like, wouldn't go up there for less than that.
Yeah.
To drive up 2 or 3 hours up on those roads. And besides that, I went through Canada. That was one of the big reasons I waited till Monday to go, because I could go through Canada, and it's just a lot more paved. It's just a much easier ride if you're not carrying guns or animals. And I borrowed which I that's something I do have to do, is get a MERS in my Dodge and in the Ford, just because, man, you don't want to meet one of those trucks coming around a corner.
Right.
It's with that gooseneck, it was hairy, like, because I don't know what's happening up there right now with the market or whatever, but they're hauling some wood. It's coming out hot and heavy on the Baker Road. And so I was glad to have, it was actually really helpful having the handhelds. Braden gave me his and made it a little bit safer anyway. But just for guys that are going up on their own for any of these upcoming cow hunts or anything, just always keep an eye out for the trucking and be ready to get out of a situation.
Just pull over and stop. Let them by.
Absolutely.
That's it. Don't try to take even a third of the road. Just get the heck out of the road.
Which speaking of that, I had another incident. You know, I probably tailgate a little bit and I don't realize it. So I'm getting better at it, right? I'm trying to back off a little bit because I move along pretty decent, especially if I've got somewhere to go. Well, I had to go up and bring a load of firewood up before the hunt, and I had to get back. I had stuff going on, you know, so I'm going up, and I was going up the way you go, and there was a truck way up ahead of me. I could see it was a long straightaway, you know, and I caught him pretty quick. He was bird hunting. So I followed for a few minutes, you know, follow, and try to be courteous and give him a chance to pull over, you know, and then we get behind a Jeep that's also bird hunting, and he's crawling. So now three of us are crawling. Well, the Jeep instantly realizes, hey, these guys are going faster than me, and he pulls around. So I'm thinking, oh, well, surely this guy's going to let me come around too. So we both go around the Jeep. We get up to the intersection. He turns the same way I'm going. And here we go. He's just going his speed. I think he was probably going 15 or 20, whatever it was. But my speed was faster.
Yeah.
I wasn't driving crazy or anything. So I'm following him. I'm like, he's got to see me, right? So I finally start going back and forth to, you know, left and right. And he pulls over, and as I'm going by, of course, he rolls his window down, and he's hollering and screaming, "Where are you in such a hurry to go? You know, I don't understand what's so hard about just pulling over.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I don't want someone up my ass following me either. If someone comes up behind me every time, if they catch up to me, I'm pulling over. No problem.
It's called ignorant.
It's the rule of the road. It didn't seem like an ignorant guy. Seemed like a pretty normal guy. But I don't understand. I guess he thought I should go at his speed all day. I don't know if he thought I was going to shoot birds in front of him or what, but I had no intention of shooting any birds.
Well, usually what it is, afraid somebody else is going to shoot a bird. You know,
yeah.
Scare them all out.
So if someone comes up behind you, we tell the deer hunters this every year when they come into the lodge. You know, someone comes up behind you going faster, just let them go by.
Pull over.
But.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap up for moose. We got to talk about deer season, which is starting exactly.
We got to go back to the second season because we got to at least talk about the toughness of it.
Oh,
because it was different.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I know a lot of guys
First
struggled like
early,
we did.
Second season's late. So yeah.
Yeah. So I had Scott Dale and his son Scott Jr., which it's always great. Yeah, I look forward to a hunt when you're going with someone that you know.
Yeah, you already know them. Yeah.
You know, we had a really good week, but saw a lot of moose and I think at the end of it was 9 bulls, with the biggest one being probably around 40 inches. And that was the last one we saw on Saturday.
The big ones are tired then. The big ones are laying low.
Yeah, I thought we'd definitely get into, because where we were, you know, there's a pile. We saw something like, I think, and probably some of the cows we saw were some of the same cows because we saw them in some of the same areas over the week. But we saw like 35 cows and I think 9 bulls was the count we had. And nothing big. And I mean, we walked, we sat, we drove, we did everything, you know, that we could to try to find a bull. And we went up in the back of the cuts. We had snow, so we had tracks. Everything we tried couldn't find a good sized bull. And it gets, it makes it a lot better when the hunters are good about it, which, Scott's a hunter, so he understands that's the way it goes sometimes, and it makes the week a lot better when everyone has a good attitude. But I'm going to tell you, it was a tough week.
It was the toughest I ever seen, and the bulls weren't moving, the big ones, and that proved out. We had snow 2 days where we could really had track and snow. You could find a track, and we never saw a big bull track. We saw smaller tracks and everything, and we walked all day.
Yeah.
And couldn't find a big track to follow. They were just hunkered down, So so basically, in retrospect, what I would say about it is, they're feeding. They're tired. It's like the old bucks after the season. So you really just got to land on one somehow, walk, but or hunt like some of the hidden cuts that you can see, and even if they're coming out in the morning or the evening or something, would be another strategy for that, because they're awful hard. I mean, we walked in the buffer strips and could walk up onto cows and stuff, but it was like they had disappeared, like they were elusive,
Yeah, Braden, my son-in-law, he shot a nice bull, not real wide. I think it was high 40s, 48 or 49, if I remember, but nice points and everything. Really good looking bull. And the only reason they stayed, they knew there was a better one in that spot they had on camera, and so they just devoted the whole week, and they hunted the whole week in that spot. And
they sit a lot too.
They did. They walked. They sat. They called. And which the responses were. We never had a response all week. Not one response. Not a cow bellow. Not a grunt.
No, me either.
Braden did, and Brady did as well. He was with Candace. But the only way they got his moose is they heard its antler just tickle a branch, and they were just some moose down there feeding, and they could tell just the way it was moving around. They were just feeding, and I think they spent like 2 hours there. 2, maybe more. Maybe it was closer to 3. And overall, they worked down in trying to get close, and the wind was, they backed out, and they just kept on doing it. And I think they just they got back up on where it was open, and were just cow calling, and it finally just slowly came to them, and they shot it, and Leah, my daughter, was there at 4 months pregnant, and she got it on camera, I think.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, sounds good. I got a cow hunt this next week coming up.
It's here though, right?
Yeah, that's the only reason I took it, because it's right here. They're going to stay at the house with us. I took it for 2 reasons. It was this zone, and it was some past clients. I guided. It was the year of 9/11, 2001, and I think he had got drawn for that. It was a couple, and shot a 55-inch bull or something, and then he come bear hunting with us, and I hadn't heard from him since. So then 20 years later, he calls out of the blue, "Hey, Shar, got a cow permit in your zone." He had to look me up. He didn't know where I was, but I ain't that hard to find. But he got my phone number and called me up. I said, "Yeah." I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'll take you. So,
but that was funny too. With so Bo was guiding a hunt down here in 8 for me. His client show up, and it turns out his client 20 years ago, when he was 15, hunted at Cedar Ridge, and Rocky was his guide.
Yeah,
Rocky is Bo's brother.
Yeah,
and they had a great time. They had a great week. And Norm got a nice bull for his clients too. It was like 54, I think. Not a lot of palm, but a real unique bull. But anyway, so they went up to get it, and Bo had called into Rocky, and he came up to help, and they had a whole crew of them, and I guess they took pictures and everything, like reenacting the 20
years later.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that's fun about clients you've had before, coming back. Makes a lot of stories. Hey, Hal here. I want to talk a little bit about our partnership with OnX Hunt. I've been using it for a while now, and if anybody knows me, they know I'm not a very techie person, but the OnX app is really, it's a real time saver. I remember the days when we poured over topo maps everywhere we was going to go and stuff, and I don't do that quite as much anymore. Where it's really helped me is scouting, whether it's deer scouting, or moose, or even turkey hunting in the spring, which I do. It really helps out. I don't have to spend as much time running around the truck burning up the gas. I'm just basically using my OnX. Got it on my phone. Don't even carry a GPS anymore. So I just download the areas where I'm going to be hunting, whether it's up north moose hunting, and I use it mostly on the satellite imagery. I like to see the cuts and the clearings and the turkey hunting, the hidden fields and stuff. But everybody's using it now, from the game wardens to land surveyors, and just a great tool. And with our partnership with OnX, if you use a code BWB, you're going to receive 20% off on your first premium or elite memberships. And you just go to onxmaps.com/hunt. You'll be glad you did. Good luck on the trail.
As you all know, Big Woods Bucks is devoted to promoting the best equipment for tracking and still hunting the big woods. Part of that equation for success is the sights that sit on your hunting rifle. We've chosen Skinner Sights as the company to produce our custom-built BWB Tracker Series peep sight. It's constructed of solid steel, has our custom ghost ring, and was co-developed by some of the best trackers in the world. To get yours, go to bigwoodsbucks.com and click on the Optics tab.
Pine State Armory in Skowhegan is your ultimate destination for hunting and outdoor gear. Located at 338 Madison Avenue, we're more than just a store, we're family. Nick and Jess and their friendly dogs, Bailey and Ruby, are always ready to greet you. Pine State Armory is a family-friendly store where safety meets expertise. Your kids are always welcome. And if you're new to the sport, we're here to help with gear recommendations and the knowledge and information you need to get started right. Looking to buy, sell, or trade firearms, whether new or used, we have what you need. And to those who serve our country, we're proud to offer a military discount as a token of our appreciation. Visit us today at Pine State Armory, 338 Madison Avenue, Unit 8 in Skowhegan, and experience the great outdoors like never before.
So we got to tell a couple stories on deer here, because we're going to be starting here pretty quick. Residence Day is November 2, but the regular opener for everybody's November 4, which is a week later. The calendar flipped, this year on leap year, so it's as late as the season can be now, which might help us out for snow, although we've already had snow a couple of times.
Well, I was going to say it was funny because when we went in the woods that morning, your mind, it's like you switch gears.
Yeah.
And Scott and I both were like, we feel like we're deer hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, it totally felt like it. It's kind of nice. It was a nice warm up. But yeah, it gets you all excited. But, there is. It's
October, it never can't last, but it's fun to have it. Yeah. So people say, I don't know, as you're getting these snow in November. I'm like, well, we get it in October, bound to get it in November.
Yeah.
Actually, we're supposed to get some, I think, Sunday or Monday snow again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, here, yeah. But anyway, so it starts. Last year that was the last day. November 4th was the last day of the first week last year, and this year November 4th is the first day of the first week. So it's basically a flip 5 days, 6 days ahead.
Second week should be hot.
Second week. They all should be.
Yeah. That second, third week.
Oh, yeah. Well, the third and fourth, the second week they'll be moving around, and then the rut will be the third and fourth again,
Yeah.
End of the month. So anyways, we'll talk about that a little bit, because everybody, if you don't have snow, a lot of people have asked the question, what do you do if you don't have snow? Well, I guided my whole life with you
Sucks.
Yeah,
It sucks.
yeah. Well, you know why? Because you get spoiled when you get tracking. If you're a tracker, when you don't have any snow, I don't want to say it's discouraging, but it's almost like you almost think you got one arm tied behind your back a little bit because you really want the snow, but you still have to go, So
And you still kill deer.
you still kill deer. We always kill deer. Actually, half the time I think we might have killed more deer when there was no snow, because you either worked harder or you had more patience for one thing, But the key to that is having some places to, if you are a sitter, is have places to go, Find those places of travel corridors and signpost rubs if you find them, and so you're either going to basically sit a still hunt. If you get a hard rain and it flattens the leaves, you might be able to track for the first day after that, but you pretty much got to be in the hardwoods mix where you got leaves to go by, not in the spruces on that. But so, yeah, just get out there and go. And I got thinking about something. I'll be driving around the woods by myself a lot, when I get daydreaming and I think about different things. And of course, a lot of it's people asking questions over the years about this and that. And then I started to refer back.
I wonder where I can find a meatloaf sandwich. Isn't that how your brain works? That's all that's on it?
Yeah. No, I usually think about, I wonder when I'm going to eat my meatloaf sandwich. When's the right time going to be? Because I was eating one when I shot one of the bucks there on the bare ground, my sandwich buck. That's how that all got kind of going.
I didn't mean to throw you off there, so.
Yeah. No, but I think about stuff like, because I get a lot of the questions in the deer clinic too, so I can refer back to those deer clinics, because that's when I got 10 people, that's what they're there for, is to ask the questions, right when we're right there in the woods and stuff, and it for surely finally the things Chris used to tell me this years ago, that I had to explain stuff better, because I take it for granted. I just assumed everybody would know that, but I've learned by taking all those people in the deer clinics, I learned that they really don't know, because they read it and they read about it, but until they visually see it. It's like, I relate it to like when you go to school or college or something, everything you learn is a theory until you go out and start applying it. And then that's where the rubber meets the road, because you're going to find out that just because you read it in a book, it doesn't always happen that way,
I actually think it's better to experience and then read, because you're putting it in place better. You can apply it to your situation. You think about the situation you're in.
Yeah. Yeah. But the biggest thing that over the years, the people, the deer clinic people, and I might have talked about it a little bit before on a podcast, is where to travel in the woods. And I talk about breaking it down into the 10%, and almost to a one, the people I take in the deer clinic had no idea about that the deer travel more those transition zones on a regular basis. Like we all know, if you've tracked any bucks, you all know they'll go right across some open hardwoods randomly anywhere. They cross a clear cut randomly, but they don't do that stuff as a habit. They do it like when they got to get somewhere and it's a straight line and they're just going to go that way. Doesn't mean they'll ever go that way again,
Right.
They just happen to go through there. So if you keep yourself in the transition zone where it's where the hardwood and the softwood meets, it's the cover. And that's the security. They just want to be most of the time in their regular travel
Everything
patterns.
likes it.
Yeah.
If you really look at it, the birds like it, the moose like it, everything likes that.
And up here, the game trails, if you see, we don't have a lot of just like deer trails in the woods. We don't have it. If you do, it's usually in a saddle in a ridge or something the terrain is guiding them around a certain place. But all the animals use it. Deer, moose, bear even use those trails to get somewhere. So I just call them game trails, really. They're not, the only ones that might just be deer trails is the migration ones. And then they don't use those much during deer season until they start to migrate. So anyways, that's what I'd recommend to you if you're on bare ground, just follow that transition. Now it's up here because of if you hunt in the flatter country, it's going to be low ridges, and you still have the hardwoods and the transitions. But
I mean, you can see it right now. You look up on the mountain right here.
Yeah.
Do you see that transition plain as day where the there's lines everywhere?
Our leaves are down, the hardwoods are gray, and then you'll have the dark green, the spruce and fir. So and typically that's what we have here. The mountains or even the ridges, the hardwoods in the middle. You get down in the bottom, the low ground and the streams and swamps is green, and then the top of the mountains or the ridges are green.
So is that a product of the elevation that they can cut to mostly, and it just came back hardwood? So it's 2,700, right? 26 or 2,700 they can cut to.
Yeah, no, it's not. That's not what
it was
it's
always
about.
naturally like that.
Yeah. They grow in different soils and different moisture, because certain trees tolerate water more than others.
Yeah, but if you cut a softwood cut, it'll come back hardwood.
No, it won't. Unless there's little ones already there. It's going to come back softwood. You get in.
Not reverse though, because you got to spray it. I'm thinking reverse, because if they're keeping it for a softwood cut, it's got to be sprayed.
Yeah,
they spray the hardwood so it'll come back softwood.
Yeah, like
so it's
down
reverse
here,
of that.
Yeah, they've always, like down around this old Scott paper land, now it's Warehouser, they'll cut hardwood and they'll plant it back to softwood and then spray it.
They're trying to hardwood. But
in the normal ecosystem,
yeah, I guess that's true.
Change.
A softwood cut is just brown.
Yeah, so you have hardwood and softwood, and it likes different soils, and then you have the mix too. Because when you get in the transition zones, it's really mixed at first. Mm-hmm. You'll have some hardwoods randomly through there, and what I've noticed about that is, and like you'll see it. Actually, you see it a lot moose hunting too, because where those red maples grow, they'll grow. And people call them swamp maples, right? That's another nickname for the red maple, because they tolerate the wet ground. But the sugar maple don't. They get too much water in their roots, they'll die. They'll start dying off. So the red maples will typically grow where there's fir, the fir trees, and birch maybe. And that's what you'll have a mixture with. And then, but any of the spruce and fir, I mean, you call it fir, but spruce and fir all grows together, and that tolerates more water. But the hardwoods typically, especially in beech too, beech and ash, which we don't have a lot of, but the hard maple just needs drier ground. That's why in a hardwood ridge, where you have them spring seeps that leak out, there's no trees grow there. You'll have I've seen places it's 30, 40 yards across, great big opening, and not a tree's growing there. It's all nice maples around, but it's too wet. So it's just grass and crap. You might have an odd yellow birch will grow in the wet a little bit. So, but anyways, yeah, that's just the way it is. But the deer like that transition, and they'll follow along. And usually, when I talk about the signposts, following streams and stuff, I don't mean you have to walk in the stream or right on it. There's a transition, usually the seeps, where it's just seeping water or it's trickles, and it's level. That's where those seeds will take, the brown ash seeds. If it pitches down over and it starts to be fast water down the ridge, you almost never found a brown ash because it won't seed there. It keeps the seeds washed down by. If it comes down and then it levels out, that's where you get your yellow grass I talk about. Mm-hmm. So a seed will settle there and take root sometime. So that's how you look for the brown ash. If you get into the wet, the steeper ground or whatever, just keep going until you get into where it levels out, because that you can find it about anywhere, brown ash, but you don't find it everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and everywhere you find it does not mean there's going to be a rub on it either.
No,
because.
But if there ain't many bucks around. Yeah, if you keep checking, if you're in an area and you keep finding brown ash runs up through there, and you don't even see any like old scars on the trees, the bucks ain't using that area. Just keep moving until you find the place that they are. But I found something interesting moose hunting up north, where it's flatter when you get up above here. I've only ever found really one real signpost. I found there's lots of brown ash and they rub it. But up there, for some reason, it's probably a function of there's less deer. You know what I mean? There's less deer around. So.
Oh, there seems to be more and more now.
Yeah, there's more now, but it takes a long time to develop a signpost rub. I mean, those are, like I talked about before, they might be 60, 80, 100 years old, some of them,
But there was, up in that area, the deer herd was good. It was around 07, 08, wasn't it, when it really took it hard up there?
Oh, no, it was bad. They cut all them deer yards in the whole North Maine woods. I mean, most of that was cut back in the, it started in the late 70s and through the 80s and 90s is when that got annihilated. And then what was left, there was still some left, but not deer yards, but there was still some woods left. And then, yes, 2007, 8, 9 winters pretty much finished things off up there. And now they're coming back again. They're slowly coming back. But there isn't enough deer, or enough mature bucks really to keep many signposts going. I think that's what it is. And I think up there the bucks are probably traveling a lot further to find enough does to keep them busy. In what I could see, because we did walk a lot this last moose season in the buffer strips and all that, and I was surprised you'd hit places with quite a lot of deer tracks punched in the leaves and stuff. Been other places you wouldn't see any,
Right.
So them pockets of them where them does are kind of hanging around, might be certain cuts, and then the buffer strips, them bucks have to get to a lot of them to keep things going for them. So
Saw one fresh rub. We were up there moose hunting. That was it. Quite a few tracks.
yeah, I found a bunch of rubs really. I got a funny story about that too. In one walk one day, one morning walk, we walked this buffer. I decided to get down this random trickle because that's really only the way they've cut up there. It's pretty much, they've cut over the years different chunks and they're in different stages of cut. And then some places they left these, 50 to 100 yard buffer strips in between. Now they've started cutting in them too, but there's always a buffer along a stream, or some kind of a water. So we decided to walk down one of them, and up there, that's usually where you'll find those old, I call them truck roads back from the 50s and 60s when they use those straight trucks. And we're going down along there, and geez, it was pretty good deer sign, tracks punched here and there. And we got down to this beautiful hardwood piece, and you can see it isn't very big. We're along the stream, and then you can see the cuts, but the woods was beautiful. We get down, we're going down this old wood road there, and there's probably a 3 or 4 inch brown ash, shined right up, nice, beautiful. Oh boy, that's pretty cool there, So we walked over to it, and I'm going, this is a pretty nice one. Up
Their camera.
I look over, and there's a trail camera on a tree, and this is kind of like in the middle of nowhere up there. It's probably further in than you think most people go. So it's obviously somebody that hunts there,
Yeah.
and they walked down that buffer to get in there because it was at least a half a mile from a road. And they had just put it because I could see the leaves at the tree where the tree put it on. The leaves was kicked out all kind of like fresh,
Yeah.
like he put it there the day before or something. So he's got my picture anyways. I'm waving. If you're out there, let me know who it is. It's up off the Inkley Hill Road.
Got some ideas.
Yeah. John thought it might be one of his crew. John Benway said maybe it's some of my crew there. Yeah.
It is funny. I mean, it's gotten like around here, if it's a signpost, typically there's a camera around it. And it kind of surprises you. You come across one you haven't found before, you haven't seen before. And the first thing I do is look around. Someone got a camera on this one yet? There's
only one, the one you know about there. You told me there's a camera on it. That's the only one. I've never found a camber on any signpost.
Oh, yeah, I have a few. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's because you hunt down in the crowded area.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't bump into too many people, but.
No, I've never seen a camera. I've never seen any evidence of anybody being around with most of the signposts I find. I just get back in a little further.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I got to start walking more.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm still doing it while I can. So, yeah. Yeah, find them signposts. That's the key. And still hunt. If there's bare ground, just keep yourself in them corridors so I'll bring this full circle to the 10%. So if a deer, any buck has X amount of territory, it's 10. I always use the example of 10 square miles. And that's probably small because if you think about 10 square, that's either 1 mile by 10 or 2 by 2 is 8. So 2.5 by 2.5 miles. It's not. Those big bucks is a territory way bigger than that.
Right.
So whatever it is, I figure they're only using in their normal travel 10% of that. So if it was 10 square miles, there's only 1 square mile in there that they're most likely to be. That your job is to find that 1 square mile isn't 1 square mile out of the 10. It's corridors of maybe 100 yards all through the territory. So your job is to find those and keep yourself there. Whether you're a sitter or a still hunter, find a good signpost or even a good corridor. It might be a pinch point through a saddle or, just an intersection where you think, they're crossing a brook and following the brook, like an intersection. But still hunt those. If you keep yourself day after day still hunting all the corridors to the next one, in that transition and just, you'll see, if you do that, you're going to see a lot more sign. If I get back to the clinics, we'll walk. I take them purposely, I do this. We'll walk a half a mile through the hardwoods. Beautiful hardwood ridge. And serpentine all up the ridge to the top. And you're lucky if you ever see a rub. It's usually on some little sapling they might have rubbed. And as soon as we get to the top of the ridge where it transitions, you'll find 3 or 4 rubs within 100 yards in that zone.
Yeah,
it's clear as day when they see it. They're like, you're here, they ain't using it. You get in there with this cover, you can just look at it and you can see that's where they want to travel.
And what I found, if that transition area happens to be where there's good shelves, it's even better. That the shelves are just.
They love to walk them shelves because a buck will go through anything during the rut. I've followed them. I'm like, what is this? It's like they got to get somewhere and they don't care what they walk through to get there. They'll walk through the witch hobble. They'll walk right over blowdowns and stuff because they got to get there. But they don't do that normally. They take the path of least resistance, terrain-wise and structure-wise. They don't want to walk through a bunch of blowdowns and thick firs and stuff. unless there's been a trail developed. So the shelves create a nice way to get around a ridge or a mountain or something.
I find the same with shed hunting with the moose. It's the same thing. You come down off the mountain and find a little plateau before it dips, and I'll walk that all, and they just like
because
that.
they don't want to stand on a side hill all the time. It's not natural, I got a place I take the people in the clinic, and it's just an example of that. And because I when I talk about, you got to try to keep yourselves in that transition zone. Well, there is a place. It's up on a mountain, and you come out of this. It's a shelf. The mountain's pretty steep, comes down pretty steep, and then it levels out. I mean, it's not necessarily perfectly level because it's always slopes a little, but there is some level pieces, and then it drops. But there's a section in there that's probably several hundred yards that there's no softwood. It turns right into hardwood, and you can look up the steep mountain in the hardwood, and you can look down a couple hundred yards in the hardwood. But there's a trail there. It's like a beaten game trail through there. I mean, and it might split. There's two of them within sight. But that's how they have to get around the mountain. They don't go up over and down over. If they drop too low, they got to work further. So that becomes, it's still 10%, even though it's not in a green transition,
Right.
But it's obvious because you can see, you can't miss you can see it plain as day where they travel around that trail. And then there's scrapes and rubs on that, because that's where they go.
Where they're traveling.
Yeah. Probably don't spend a lot of time getting through there, but they have to go. It's like it's way back in, but it's a beautiful ambush point. I could put anybody there, and they wouldn't sit very many days without killing something there.
So speaking of that, you're not. Oh, you are. You've got someone coming that you're.
Billy Moles.
Yeah, Billy's coming. That's right.
Billy's coming.
I was just thinking you weren't guiding at all. You had the whole month, but and he's second week. Is that correct?
Yeah, because he's got to get ready. He takes a few deer hunters on their season's like only 2 weeks or something out there in Wisconsin. So, yeah, he's coming the second week. Talked to him the other day. He's pretty excited. He's got his Big Woods jacket.
Yeah,
Chris has got him hooked up, and yeah, he'll be ready. So I think
that's funny that before we went. Well, when we first started going to Alaska, I remember you telling me that this is the only guy I follow. I really like this guy's videos, and I watched everything he has. And
the funny part of that was he was watching our stuff too. I'd been following him, and he'd been following me or us, the other way around. And then, but he's pretty excited about it. He's never deer hunted. He got intrigued with it by listening to our stuff, and so I sent him the book so he could read, but yeah, he's pretty excited about it.
So, is there any spots available still, or
no?
All full up.
Funny thing was, I got back I had a couple of messages, and I got back last week, and I filled. There was 2 rooms left Thanksgiving week, and I filled them.
Yeah.
So
another season coming quick. I'm going down, I think Wednesday I'm going to go down. I'm going down to New York for my annual bow hunting trip down there.
You're going to get
It's more of a eating, drinking bow hunting trip. It's good time with friends.
Yeah, you don't get real serious, right?
No, I mean, I hunt every morning and evening, but I just, it's if we see something nice, it's good. If not. Yeah. But I'll tell you the thing down there now is the bears are becoming so prevalent.
Yeah.
Last year, I saw a sow with 3 cubs and had never seen a bear down there. And now my buddy's sending me all kinds of pictures. And I mean, there's a pig down there of a boar. Yeah. I said, if that one comes by, I'll be sticking an arrow in that one because it's they're for whatever, I guess they got plenty of feed or whatever, but they're getting fat down there.
Yeah. Well, they don't have to den up as long, so they grow quick. It's like them North Carolina ones. They never den up. They're eating them cornfields that weigh 800 pounds,
They don't have to burn calories running from hounds.
Yeah.
So, but But yeah, then back to here and on to deer season.
Yeah, well, we're going to have fun. Hopefully we get a little snow to sweeten things up for us.
And it can come out of nowhere. I look at the long term a little bit, and I see some things about it.
Yeah.
They forecast warm or whatever, but
they can't forecast more than 2 days out.
I mean, this one they didn't see until 2 days out as they started talking about.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. But you got any hot tips for the guys?
Get out.
Go every day. Daylight till
more
dark.
time in the woods.
Yep. Yeah, especially you guys that, I feel bad for you guys that only get a week to hunt. And I'm serious about that because really, especially coming up north.
Not only a week, I mean, there's, a lot of guys get 1 day a week, the Saturday.
Yeah, that's rough too. And then Thanksgiving weekend or something. But I've always told people from the time I started hunting up here, and outfitting, to be fair to yourself, you should take 2 weeks because you'll relax more. If you got a week, you're all hepped up and you're out running around trying to find the best spot, and the next thing you know, it's getting to the end of the week, and I don't want to say that it's pressure on you, but trust me, if you took 2 weeks, you'd be way more relaxed out on your hunt.
Yeah, I mean, probably a lot of it's not an option.
No, I know that. I know that. I'm just saying,
if you can take the time.
Well, I know a lot of guys. I know a lot of guys that pretty much hunt the whole season, but they jump around. They'll go here, they'll go to New Hampshire, they jump around a week here and a week there. But I still think get zeroed in. I don't care if you're in New Hampshire, wherever you hunt, but get zeroed in and just spend a couple weeks and learn the woods you're hunting and, expand on that.
My goal my aim this year is to work, to do the things, because there's always stuff to do, is to do that on the days when there's no snow, and just, if there's snow, go every one of those days.
Oh yeah. You got
I'm guiding second week, so I'm going the whole week that week, obviously, but
right.
But other than that, if there's no snow, I got a long enough list of stuff to do, and I'll work on that. And then when the snow comes, I can go and not be worried about all the things that I usually worry about when.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that too. Like, I go every day, even on the bare ground now. For me is fun because I like to go check out some areas I haven't been for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe there's still a few areas I haven't really figured like I've scoured enough, and I'll go do that. The only thing I don't, if we get that warm, if it gets it's going to be up to 50, I'll go out till about 10, and when it starts heating up, I'm not really that interested in walking around in that,
Yeah.
I'll go home and chip at the honeydew list a little bit.
Well, I'll also typically, there's unless it's warm like you said, I'll go out first thing in the morning, and if I got a place to sit or whatever, it's, sit for a couple hours, but then come back and be productive middle of the day.
I just wander around because I ain't really that interested in shooting one on bare ground, I mean, don't get me wrong. If I saw the right one, I'm sure I would, but I call it taking my gun for a walk now, But Ryland's all hepped up. He didn't even apply for a doe tag this year. He goes, no. He goes, I ain't really that he's a trophy hunter now,
Yeah.
So, I said, I don't really care. He said, I want to. So you heard his goal there at the Hunt Stock podcast. He wants to shoot a bigger buck than me,
Well, you got that too to consider, and your schedule is
him
is hunting with Ryland too.
Yeah, and he's doing a new. He's been homeschooling, but his mother changed programs. He was doing it in a workbook. Now I don't know a lot about it, but you can do it like they send you the books and you do the work in the books, and then now he's on one where he does it online, and you do the work and then they grade it or whatever. So he's into that. So that's something new for him. But I called him yesterday to see if he wanted to go with me this morning. I went into remote camp there and got ready for the deer hunters and did a little road work. But I said, you want to go tomorrow? You can bird hunt or something. He goes, I said, just text me later on if you decide. So I get a text from him this morning. No, last night. He goes, I don't think I'm going to go. He said, I'm trying to get, he said, I've been working on this homeschool and my schoolwork. He says, I want to get ahead on that. So he sees the season's coming. He knows the more he gets ahead, because, you can go at your own pace. So if he gets ahead on this thing, I think he figures his mother's going to let him have more days off, to go hunting.
Thinking.
So, yeah, so he's ready. So
I actually got a doe tag this year, and I'm gonna shoot one this year only because I started eating a lot more meat. I got it in my everyday diet. So when you start doing that, you go through a lot of meat in a year, and I'm pretty much out of the moose, so I'm gonna try and kill 2.
Yeah. If I get one deer, it's enough, because we always buy a pig, and she got Erica's been raising the pigs and the cows, and we get not a half a cow. There's no way we could eat that, but we get a quarter of the cow and a half a pig, and time we get a deer, that's about plenty for the 2 of us to eat, know. But yeah. So anyways, it's coming quick. It seems like yesterday we were all talking about can't wait till deer season, and it's,
it comes around fast. I got to tell you, man, it's like the year. I mean, just looking back on how many years we've been doing the thing out of the lodge and how many years we've been doing the podcast, it just doesn't even seem like it's possible. It's been that long, but
the older you get, it accelerates too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some term for it. Not that I know what that term is, but it's real.
So I say, don't wish time away. Just.
Yeah. So I guess our next podcast is going to be during deer season.
Yep. Yeah. We ought to do one at the end of the first week and catch people up. Maybe we'll have Billy Moles on the second week and do one with him again and see how he's liking it up here,
Yeah. Well, I bet if you can find him a deer, he'll like it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to find his own.
Oh, he's going on his own.
Well, I told him he ought to. He's a good hunter and stuff. I'll probably it's up to him though, whatever he wants to do. But I figured I'd take him and show him in person a lot of stuff the first day. And it depends too if we got snow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but I think he'd have fun, tracking on his own and stuff and figuring it out. He's that kind of guy. But yeah, so we'll see, and I'll make sure I take him and get him started and get him back and stuff. So yeah. All right. Well, next time we talk to you folks, we'll be in the thick of it. Probably have a few bucks on the pole.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully
if the guys can shoot straight this year, right?
Yeah, you're always going to have some misses.
I know. You know what's funny? I just mentioned that real quick. It always seemed like back when I had my other place, it's almost like it seemed like the deer hunters did the best as far as not missing or wounding them and stuff, The bear hunters were the worst. Then the moose hunters, we had a few mishaps. But the deer hunters always seemed like they did pretty good at it. But not anymore, and I don't know why that is. I mean, I don't know how many we had.
Well, you probably had back then. You had you have a lot of guys getting into it for the first time. This is their first hunting experience. Whereas back then, just to come up here and hunt and be in the big woods, you needed to be a woodsman because you didn't have. Now it's so easy. You've got your OnX and roads everywhere, and you got YouTube videos to watch and learn from and everything else. So it's easier. Like the group last year that came. The 4 guys that come every year, the younger guys that killed that beautiful buck. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what their skill level is typically, but I don't think they'd ever hunted up here before. It was his first deer, right? Yeah.
That was their second year. It was his first, but they had been coming 2 years.
Okay. So
2 of them, Steven that shot that buck, him and one other guy are coming. The other ones couldn't make it this year. So, yeah, they'll be back, and then...
but I think it's just a matter of...
Yeah.
you know.
But I'm pulling for Big Ben this year that his clients actually shoot a big one.
Big Ben puts them on him, that's for sure.
Yeah, he puts them on them, but they don't get the job done usually.
Is he guiding how many weeks? 4 weeks? 3?
Ben?
Yeah.
No, he's only going to guide one. He couldn't do the first week because he's got cow hunters.
Okay.
He took more cow hunters to make up, the difference in less bull hunters the second season. So last year he had to scramble. He did have a couple of cow hunters, but he scrambled through it, and then he had to break down camp, and it's too much.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole camp thing's a lot of work.
Yeah. So he's going to be here just the second week, and then after that he goes and tents out,
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Any newcomers in camp for guides?
Yeah, Bill Cole. He's going to guide all 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll be good. Yeah, he worked for Brian and then for Ben too, when he took Epic over. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So, sounds good. Well,
click like and subscribe on the channel.
Yeah.
Get your notifications.
Hit the bell, right? That's how you subscribe. No, was that how you get your notifications?
That's it.
No, that's your notifications, the bell. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Support our sponsors is what keeps us going. And good luck to all of you. Looks like it's going to be a good year for deer up this way anyways. I'm sure all the main...
Numbers-wise, it seems like it's... I know we feel like we say it the last few years, which it has been getting better.
There's no question.
But we're back to like normal numbers now.
Well, even we're back to, I tell people, it's like we're back to like it was in the 80s and 90s. And
probably not the mature bucks that there was back then, only because I don't think.
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. The last 2 years, I
would have thought it'd take a couple more years to get those.
No. There's the big ones. We haven't had any pressure on the big ones for like winners for years and years. You know what I mean? They're dying of old age. We got to get some. So
give it our best.
Yep. All right. Till next time. Good luck on the trail.
Hi everyone, team member Mark Sheeran here. Are you or someone you know struggling with a drug or alcohol problem but you don't want to go to rehab or 12-step meetings? Well, that's exactly why we created our non-12-step Freedom Model Coaching Program. In our program, you can be coached by me and Michelle Dunbar through our in-house 2-day addiction solution workshop, or if you want to stay home, you can be coached through video conferencing on Zoom. Both options are powerful and proven effective. We've personally coached more than 27,000 people over the last 34 years. With the Freedom Model, you won't have any record of being treated for an addiction either. This is a huge benefit for those with professional licenses, or who are high profile, or simply who have a lot to lose with such a damaging label. If you're ready to change your life and solve your addiction for good, call me directly at 888-424-2626 and set up your free 30-minute coaching session today. I look forward to helping you. And here's that number again, 888-424-2626. Take care.
Hey guys, Joe here. Wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Lake Parlin Lodge. We're a 4-season lodge located just south of Jackman. We've got cabins, lodge rooms, mini lodge. We're a big snowmobile destination in the winter, full restaurant, bar, all the amenities that you need for your trip. Open obviously through the summer, right on the lake. Kayaks, canoes, all included with the cabin. We also do a lot of weddings, so if you're looking for a destination wedding, we can do a wedding up to 200 people. And of course, we've got our hunting season, moose season, deer season. So check us out. We're at lakeparlinlodge.com.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Till next time, good luck on the trail.